So coding allows us to develop a whole lot of skills, and the main one being problem solving. Aside from thinking creatively, sequencing, which basically means slowing your brain down and moving in an orderly fashion, and also there's logic and math, there's patience and tenacity, all those really good skills that we're developing. But the main one is problem solving, and I'm going to give you an example of a basic example. Typically, we would we'd see a problem in our head and we'd go about trying to solve it. So, what we would do from that point is we'd put it down on paper or we would put it on a whiteboard. So, in this case, it's just a basic example. We just want a character on the screen to move over to, say, a door. So we want the character to move over here. Now, naturally, and if you can just imagine you've got someone standing next to you and you ask that person to go and close the door, they would instantly understand what you mean and they'd go and do it. So the first problem we've got is computers don't understand our language. So we have to give it a set of instructions to do the same thing. So let's see if we can go and solve that problem. So here's our character here. He's called Cody, and what we want to do is get him to move over to this area here. So there's a number of ways that we can solve this problem, and again, this is where thinking creatively comes in. So we are going to go and find an existing block, and every language comes with existing functions that are used over and over again, which is quite cool because we don't have to write them. So they are existing. So we've got one here, which is in the motion drawer. So let's go and use this block and let's just test. So we want to try and get him moving, so let's say 500 pixels. So we're close. Let's try 600. So we're there, but we've still got a problem. This is the good thing about computers, and this is what we can't do as humans, is process really quickly. So naturally, if we were to go and close the door, we wouldn't just magically appear like Cody did. So we're going to have to slow him down. So this is the second problem. So let's see what else we've got. I know it's a go-to function. So go to X and Y. So X and Y, and I'll quickly explain what X and Y is. If you want to move an object, any type of object, and put it anywhere on the screen, you have to use the X and Y axis. And so, in other words, we need coordinates to send Cody to a certain point on the screen. So if we want if we want to get Cody up here, in fact, if you see these numbers just moving below my cursor, what it's doing is tracking the cursor and it's giving me the X and Y coordinates. So the first one, 360, being the X, and minus 372 is the Y. So we need to be roughly here. So it's pretty much giving us the answer, 680 by minus 1. Let's move it up 1 pixel if we can. Yeah, there we go there. So what we need to do, let's go and see if we can, let's go back to our code. Let's put in 682 on the X and 0 on the Y and see what that does. Brilliant. Does the same thing, but again, he's too quick, so we've got to slow him down. So there's another function here, which is called glide, and let's say we want to get him to take 2 seconds to get there. So let's put in 682 and test that. Brilliant. Okay, so we've done that. So we've problem solved. We've solved this solution, but again, there's lots of different ways that we can solve the same problem. So let's go and see how to do that. So we have got, let's use move again, and let's use a loop. So what we want to do is move that 682 times by 1 pixel. Test that. Brilliant, done. So he's moving pretty quickly though this time. So what we want to do, I mean, it's thinking creatively. We can half, we don't have to put 682 times. We don't want it to repeat 682 times. We can put it, what's half of 682? 341. And change the pixels by 2. So solve the same problem differently. But again, he's going too fast, so we want to put, we've got a little function called wait. So let's see if we can slow him down a wee bit. Put in 0. I wouldn't have a clue, but let's just test it. He's a bit slow. So let's put another 0 in there. Done. So he's getting quicker and quicker. But so Cody's just getting old. His bones are getting old. So what we what we've just discovered, there are multiple ways of solving the same problem, and it's just figuring out what the most efficient one is, which is obviously the glide. So again, coding is really all about solving problems and doing lots of testing and thinking creatively.